Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to today's edition of Total Health Live, where we'll be discussing how to lose those pandemic pounds, amongst other topics. I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann. You can find me at Dr. Vogelmann all over the media that is social. And with me, as always, is our noted nutritionist, the one I refer to as the nutritionist to the stars, Monika Klein.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Friday the 27th. This is what...
It's the 27th, and it's the 73rd episode. It's also
great.
my sister's birthday today, and I won't tell you how old she is.
Oh, happy birthday, Michelle, right?
Michelle, yeah. My half birthday was yesterday. That's the only way that I remember her birthday. It's the day after my half birthday.
My half birthday is July 26th.
I'm sorry I missed your half birthday.
Yeah, your half birthday may be different from my half.
What kind of half are you? Math was not your best subject, was it? Or...
Yeah, actually, it was good.
It was your best subject? Okay.
But when I say my second, I call it my second birthday, not my half birthday, because anyway, it has to do with astrology and your rising sign. But anyway, we won't go there because a lot of people aren't interested. So
we're not going to go rising because it might cause us to go falling. So with that in mind,
rising and falling and slipping and sliding.
Hey, speaking of rising and falling, there are certain things within the world of COVID that are rising or falling, depending on your point of view. You were talking too about whether Delta is up or down. I'm starting at the bottom and working my way up.
Well, it's interesting. It is a rising in some cases, although we're seeing more infections with the unvaccinated, 75% actually, 25% for those who are vaccinated. But of course, what we're concerned about is not the infection rate. We're concerned more with the hospitalization rate. Yeah, and that is the criteria. I mean, it was never intended to be 100% effective. So, I mean, we can't be afraid that we get an infection if we can survive it. I mean, that's what many things are.
And its hospitalizations are the most critical factor here in the United States, in particular because ICU beds are disappearing. In some states, they actually have no ICU beds available, and people actually have to wait for somebody to die in order to get an ICU bed. And that's kind of crazy.
That is happening, and unfortunately, care is waning for some other people that have other issues like heart attacks and strokes, and all sorts of immediate. I mean, I'm not sure about that because that's an emergency situation with a heart attack and stroke. But other things, I mean, with hospitalizations.
Hey, as far as hospitalizations are concerned, we're number one in the world, which is not necessarily the thing you want. So.
And you know what? According to the vaccination rate, actually, Ireland and Canada are number one. They're number one in
that. And they also have lower hospitalization rates too. So.
Yeah. So, and then now New Zealand and Australia is going up again, and they're in lockdown again. So it's sort of with those two countries, it's sort of up and like very extreme, nothing, yes, nothing, then lockdown. So I don't know. I think maybe I don't have all my information, and please forgive me, but they take like really serious precautions. Maybe
in particular, New Zealand, I think even more so than Australia, because they had like one or two cases and suddenly the whole country went down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like a couple of cases and shut down, which is.
Well, but vaccination rates in Australia are far below those in most developed countries. So that's an interesting phenomenon too.
And Israel too. They saw all sorts of.
They're like in the 60s, 61%.
Interesting data from them. Yeah.
So when it comes to these types of things, I want to go to the school news thing because I'm working my way from bottom to up.
Yeah,
there's
school
a lot
news.
Of confusion.
A lot of confusion, and you had to have a first-hand view of this.
Yeah,
I get my first-hand view. I get my first-hand view from the Holderness family and their satire.
Yeah, but that's North Carolina, and but it's interesting because he arrived for his very first day of school as a freshman in high school, and he had his mask on before he went into the school. And most of the kids and the adults didn't have their masks on until they entered the threshold of the building. But so it is required. There's in-person learning, but everybody's required to wear a mask. And I'll tell you, his opinion was he'd much rather wear a mask in school than to have another day of Zoom school. So.
Yeah. I had my first chiropractic appointment this week in since probably March, February 2020, and I had to wear a mask, and I did not like it. And I could hardly breathe when I'm supposed to be, you're supposed to, well, you're not supposed to, but you tend to, when you're relaxing, do a little deeper breathing. And so I didn't feel comfortable. So I had to take it off when I was face down, and not off, but just let my nose breathe. So, it was, what would you say in regard to that? As a chiropractor yourself.
I'm no longer in practice, but I have several friends who they just simply adjust all their patients. They're wearing a mask. The patients are wearing a mask, and it's very rare that anybody complains about it because they're more concerned with relieving pain than they are for 2 to 3 minutes of discomfort.
Well, I didn't complain about it. I actually said I only want to be treated if you're wearing a mask because.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. But I found that I was having difficulty breathing.
Yeah. So let's go back to the school thing. What have you?
You don't want to answer that question?
What? There wasn't.
You don't want to answer that question?
No, because I think we're just going to get into a whole discussion for probably 10 minutes or more about inconvenience and breathing and who can breathe better with a mask and who can't and all this other stuff. I have one chiropractic colleague who is just going on and on, just constantly on Twitter and Facebook and other places saying that, masks should never be worn at any time because people are dying of carbon dioxide.
Yeah. I don't want to make it, it's not a personal, political thing. It's just a personal thing. Because if you can't breathe or you feel whatever reason, anxiety or constriction, anyway, I have to figure it out myself. I think, I have to figure out myself. Maybe I need a bigger mask or something so I can have more airflow.
Yeah, a larger mask would be good. You can even pull the sides of the mask out.
Yeah, because I have surgical masks, and actually some of them, the strings are shorter, and I think they cover, they're too close to my nose and my mouth. So I think I need. I don't know where these particular surgical masks, but all surgical masks are not equal. Let me tell you, just FYI.
Well,
so back to school.
So maybe in Total Health Live within the group and maybe on the Coaching for Health, we can put a little reference in there for the different types of surgical masks. Maybe drop a link in there.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Top of the head. So.
Yeah, I have some suppliers that it depends where they come from. Depends where the masks come from. Yeah. So back to school.
Back to school. It's our back to school special. Some schools, like in Texas and Florida, you are not allowed to have a mask mandate, but several districts, actually counties in Florida, have been going against the governor's mandate that there be no masks. And so there's all kinds of court battles and craziness that's going on.
Yeah, that's been going on.
That's kind of nuts. But anyway, so in terms of the confusion, I guess the confusion is, where do you wear them? When do you wear them? As I said before, here in Coronado, they didn't have them outside of the building, but they have to wear them when they're inside a closed space. So, and I think they're doing some social distancing. I just don't know how much. They've changed really some crazy. They've got a whole new schedule now where they're doing 90-minute classes. And I know the average adult can survive for about 45 minutes before their attention span wanes.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what you do as a teenager with a 90-minute class.
Yeah, they definitely need to figure this out, and it's going to be, a learning process. And what better place to have a learning process than in school? You
could learn in school. Hey, and one of the best things in terms of trivia is that the middle school teacher here, middle school principal in Coronado was promoted to the high school principal this year, and so she knows all these kids intimately who are coming in freshman year, and we thought that was just awesome. So, and she was enthusiastically greeting people, by the way, with her mask on, which I thought was actually very encouraging.
I have a lot of clients who are school teachers, and so I hear a lot of firsthand information from it's not just from the teacher's perspective, but also from the student's perspective as well. So, yeah.
So hopefully this gets, solved over time. The challenge is going to be, I do think that certain states within the United States are probably going to go back to Zoom school. And it's just based on the number of hospitalizations of younger people.
Yeah, that's
teenagers. That's the thing.
We're seeing that more and more. I saw something in Calabasas Patch about Patch is just a news feed, a local news feed, and they said something about an elementary school. I'm not sure if it was LA County, so it was something about an elementary school outbreak. So I should have read the article a little bit more, but
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But anyway,
bother. We're
in a state of unpredictability.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of stuff, so the Pfizer BioNTech has gotten its FDA approval. There's a little controversy over the rate against infection. I guess some data issues, whether it's 91% or 79 point something percent.
Well, they haven't changed the percentages from March 13th to now.
Yeah. Well, so the problem is each variant of the virus, like the Delta, is far more virulent than the Alpha was. And so the problem is that each time a new variant comes out, it changes the whole game. And I can't wait for the Theta variant to come out because there's going to be one at some point.
You think, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's only a matter of time. I mean,
Kappa, Beta, Kappa. We had the Beta, so we'll have the Kappa, right?
Kappa, Alpha, Kappa, Beta, Delta.
Yeah. We'll have these soft, oh my God, what are they called? Fraternities and sororities.
Yeah. The viral sorority. So the viral fraternity. Hey, so I was going to put in, with Pfizer and BioNTech, together, they've come up with this new crazy Name, which of course is Comirnaty. Comirnaty. I've been pronouncing this like for 3 days now. So Comirnaty is just a weird little mashup, and it's I don't know, in terms of branding, I'm not really thrilled with this one.
No, no one can say it. No one can say it.
Comirnaty. Well, you can over time. And so if it's supposedly it was
a
a mixture of COVID-19 immunity and the mRNA, and you can see RNA in the middle of the thing, and then as a whole, it's supposed to give you this illusion of community.
Yeah.
At least according to the branding experts, but I think some people are just going to call it community or something else. Now, for me, when there's a contest between Pfizer and Moderna, I think Moderna wins in the naming department.
Modernity
is called SpikeVax.
It should be called Modernity.
Well, Modernity will be confused with maternity, and people might be
taking
it only if they're pregnant. So.
It would be also modern.
Modernity. I like SpikeVax.
No, is that real? The SpikeVax?
Yeah. That's the real name of Moderna's, the brand name they're going.
Wow, what a totally different energy of those two names. Totally different energy. Comirnaty
versus SpikeVax. I think to me it's sort of hilarious in its own special way.
Yeah, that is, it's like coming from two different angles. I bet they're trying to see what sticks, so to speak. What
sticks with your...
SpikeVax sounds like it could
hey,
win that. But
gonna get me some SpikeVax. It actually sounds like you should have your hair up and in a mohawk or something like that.
Comirnaty.
Like
community. It's like someone can't pronounce community.
Yeah, they have a speech deficit.
Community.
Welcome to our online community.
Yeah, down south. We got a community here.
Otherwise known as Total Health Live.
Grab your beer and have some community.
Have some community.
All right. There you go.
Confuse us with the marketing happy hour, which is on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, where we
This
actually
is the health happy hour. This is the health happy hour.
That's the marketing happy hour. This is a health happy hour. But we're kind of early because we're 1 p.m. Of course, on Fridays, a lot of people take off early.
They do. Noon, that's when it begins.
Noon's when it starts. In fact, all the people coming off the Naval Air Station, the base here in Coronado, even like at 11:30, they start flooding the bridge to get off the island.
Tell me, did you choose choose to live there because you were used to like the naval base, in the Virginia, Norfolk area?
I just love being strafed by F-18 fighter planes. It's just something about, no, actually, I came here because my lovely wife was living here for the first several years. So now she's already, I think, 12 years into living on Coronado Island. And, I could have wound up in Compton because I'd never visited Coronado before, but it turned out to be quite pleasant. So.
Yeah. Better, nicer.
Better, nicer.
To the Osher. Osher.
To the Osher. Community.
That's it. I can't talk now.
This is great. And by the way, we've had no alcohol thus far. So
that's what the mRNA vaccine does. It causes you to not be able, it's a new language.
You got your community going on. You need some spike vax.
Spike vax
That's
to
what
get.
you need.
One is calming, one is stimulating.
Stimulating. One calms yourself. The other one stimulates your immune system.
Immunity.
Oh man. Anyway, so I think we've pretty much done the COVID news for today.
I think so. Moving on.
We're going to go to Q&As from our wonderful audience. Thank you as always for submitting your questions so we can submit our A's.
I hope you're having a little bit of fun like we are today. Because
hopefully,
this is
hopefully, we're 17 months into a pandemic. So anyway, so Bonnie from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I love Santa Fe. They had the best green chili right off the plaza.
Chili,
green chili.
Yum. Not really Bonnie, good. I'm zipping it.
Community. So that's our new word for the day. Hashtag community. Bonnie from Santa Fe is asking, I had a gene test several years ago. I guess it's one of these genetic tests. I discovered many good things, like I need extra B12. I can put weight on these. Good things? But okay, well, at least you learn things about yourself. I need extra B12. I have a tendency to put weight on easily. I have a tendency towards inflammation, and I sure could use some more help on implementing some of my results. I guess maybe interpreting and what she should do next. Well, where should she start with some of this information from her genetic test?
Community.
Don't start with community.
It's going to be the answer for everything today. So no, I work with a company, a lab, and they do some really great health and wellness and fitness.
Is that Genovation?
No, it's called Molecular Lab.
Molecular community.
Yeah, they're up in Washington. They're up actually in Vancouver, Washington. Yeah. So they do a full report, and it's really great. And there's a lot of things that can help, but it still takes someone to kind of help you. Like, what can I do? Okay, I have these genes, and I have a tendency to, increase. Maybe it's I think an FTO gene, for example. It does put weight on, and I have to watch that. So how can I make this practical? What can I do to use this information and put it into practical steps? Like how?
I was going to ask, are these the ones that can be modified by lifestyle when they do the genetic testing, or?
So are they genomic or?
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Okay.
You can definitely change the expression of your genes. Definitely change the expression of your genes with lifestyle, supplements, diet, that kind of thing. I mean, a lot of these tests show, your fitness capacity. For example, if you're more of a sprinter or you're more of a marathoner, for example. So what do you do with that information? Well, so you'd rather do short, sprinty kinds of, or short burst kind of activities. Some people have really much better oxygen capability. So you might be better at running. You might be better at, long distance. So you have to kind of like take all of this and compile it into something that's understandable and practical in your life.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to, there is perhaps some supplementation if you're short on B12. And in terms of, I was just going back to your question here, Bonnie, putting weight on easily, maybe there's a thyroid issue, functional, not a disease process. And that tendency towards inflammation, a lot of people actually have that. And then sometimes those folks tend to have rheumatoid arthritis and other autoimmune disorders.
Out of all the tests that I've done, I haven't seen everyone has an inflammatory issue.
Okay.
And so if that's the case, then something else is going on in your body, or if it's genetic, if you're genetically prone to something and or not prone to something and it's still happening, you have an inflammatory process happening, well, then it's much more manageable. You can have more control because you can versus someone who has an inflammatory genetic makeup. They have more work to do than you.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you don't need to be popping ibuprofen or something like that. You could take that wonderful Ayurvedic tea, which has the ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon in it.
There's so many things you can take.
A lot of different things, even more veggies, cut down on
Yeah.
meats and sugars and other things like that.
Yeah. So, for example, I don't have an inflammatory genetic profile, but I do have inflammation I have an injury right now, for example, an intercostal injury, which is, so that's, anytime you have an injury, you're going to have inflammation. So what do you do for that? You can, ice and
Ice is nice.
Ice is nice. And, that kind of thing. So, but a lot of people get these tests done and they don't know what to do with it. That's why I was really happy to be able to provide this test for clients. And then we would do a follow-up and we would, explain the results. And this would be your protocol. This would be what you need to do.
Like you really need a professional to interpret the results and work out a plan. So.
You do. So please, if you have any questions, please contact me and I'd be more than happy to walk through.
Yeah, drop them in down below. We're broadcasting at 7 different locations and you'll be able to, we will see your comment in there if you have a comment, but you can also send us a private message anywhere where you have seen this video, this live stream today.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's helpful. And we're more than glad to do some follow-up. So Bill from Santa Cruz, I'm assuming he's in California as opposed to somewhere in South America. Yeah. Bill is saying, I've lost my desire to cook lately. Oh, Bill, I can so relate. So I'm ordering more takeout and I'm starting to feel sluggish and wondering, how can I eat well and not have to cook all the time?
So I take it you're either
out. He wants the easy way out.
Yeah, I take it that I'm not sure. I mean, you might be single, you might be the cook in the family. I don't know, but so the question was, how can I eat healthy and not have to cook all the time?
Yeah, because he's feeling sluggish. He prefers takeout. I mean, you could do takeout and deliveries from places like Whole Foods and other places. Depending on if you're in a metropolitan area, there are a lot of places who actually will deliver organic meals and fresh meals and things like that too, if you have the disposable income for that. But I tend to feel, I think you would agree, Monica, that cooking your own stuff at home is best, or maybe going a little bit more raw with things that don't have to be cooked.
Yeah, so you can assemble. You can get into the place of assembling things like salads, not cooking. There's no cooking there, and you
don't cook your salads. It wilts the lettuce.
Well, you can have wilted lettuce, wilted lettuce kind of salad, and beet and goat cheese or feta. That's always nice. I remember my husband once made this watermelon feta salad. It was something else. Oh, balsamic. I think it was very interesting. Very interesting. So anyway, assembling things, trying to choose healthier foods. And with takeout, if you're doing takeout from restaurants, you're going to be, there's a lot of salt, lots of damaged types of denatured oils used in the restaurants. Maybe it's not as fresh. So there's also a lot of meal delivery companies. There are some healthier ones. There are ones that can send you all the raw food, but then again, you're not going to get away from the cooking. But at least a lot of that preparation is done for you, and it's just a matter of just putting it together.
I also would suggest doing prep, and say on Sunday for the week can save you a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a really big fan of doing that, but sometimes you just have to. As I said, I work with a lot of teachers, and so they're limited in their week, and a lot of other professionals. So they're limited in their week with available time, so they'll do that kind of thing. But salads, of course, and Why can't I
I
think?
do
I
like
mean,
really good protein shakes that have a full spectrum of nutrients. That's super fast and easy.
yeah. So
Some of the green drinks and things like that.
yeah. So the green drinks, I'm a little bit there's a caution there because a lot of people are using kale and spinach and using this every day, and that can affect your thyroid function. So it has something called goitrogens in that in inherently in that type of food, and so we don't want to be doing that. Cooking and listen, cooking vegetables doesn't take a lot of time. I love to have I love to have avocados almost every week, and I just boil them until they're soft right in the hard area, and that can last a couple of days, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just boil it, and that's it. And so, but yeah, I mean, we do a lot of cooking here for my husband for his pureed food. And so we do a lot of cooking, as you say. On Monday, when I have a wonderful person come and does a lot of the cooking, the sweet potatoes and the zucchini and the everything. I mean, cauliflower and carrots and bok choy so. And then she makes some for me too, so I have food, for most of the week.
It's the joy of the choy.
The joy of the joy. And then, turkey, ground beef, fish, having canned ahi tuna. We have this wonderful wild tuna that I purchase. And so that doesn't need to be cooked. Cheeses.
Sardines. My dad loved to open up cans of sardines.
My dad loved that too. We had sardines all the time. I was not a big fan.
I love them now.
Salty.
It's funny. I grew to like them a lot, just like olives. I hated olives as a kid, and now I can't wait to eat olives. So.
I was like that too with olives. Not even just as a kid, like a couple of years ago. But now I'm not sometimes I'll go through phases where I just absolutely love olives, and so yeah, we grew up with herring as well, and I liked herring more than sardines. There was something textural about the sardines.
Pickled herring in a cream sauce. She just thought that was the best. That and pickled pig's feet. So.
Yeah, we had pickled pig's feet too, but not the cream sauce, just plain with the. But I find the texture of sardines for me difficult. But a lot of people love. I mean,
it's the bones. It's the bones that are in there because you crunch them up. So.
Yeah. So a lot of people have that for breakfast. They have them for breakfast, and I say kudos to you. Fantastic.
That used to be my lunch for a long time. A can of sardines. That was it when I was doing a lot of keto.
Easy.
Super easy. So hopefully I was going to say, we have a friend named Bob Cruz. So this is Bill from Santa Cruz. That's why I'm a little confused.
Confused with the cruise.
Confused with the cruise. I'm not going on any cruises anytime soon, by the way. Are you?
No, I'm not a big cruiser because I do have motion sickness and it's not really pleasant.
I'm not even a fan of the PT Cruiser. And that's...
I thought they were kind of cute.
Yeah, maybe. In sort of an imitation retro kind of way.
Yes, it is.
So hopefully, Bill, that helps you. If you have any other questions, just pop a little comment in down through here or send us a private message on the Book of Faces. Maria from Oakland.
Maria.
She's asking, she said, I went on vacation recently and I went on a hike with my traveling friend. The hike, however, turned out to be 7 miles, not 2 that the map suggested. If it weren't for a stranger, I would have been in big trouble. I didn't take any good food or water. That was my big mistake. Next time, what food would be good for me to pack? I'm more concerned about your water, Maria, actually, than the food. But what do you have to say about that, Monica?
Always take water and food. Water, especially, you can't be dehydrated, especially at this time of year. I mean, any time of year. I mean, you're in California, so I don't know where you were hiking.
It's hotter now than it was during the summer.
Yeah, well, Stevie Wonder did an album called Hotter Than July, and I think he was implying about Southern California.
Okay, we had temperatures last year. We had temperatures like in the 90s in October. I almost had taken out the little air conditioners and I left the units in because I don't trust California weather.
Well, you're still kind of new to California, so
I'm only 7 years in. Come this
7 years
November,
in, you're still a novice, but
I'm a newbie. I'm a newbie.
but last week I felt, oh, there's Christmas in the air, and this week it's gone. And I know
There's
because
Christmas in the air.
crispness,
Oh,
crispness,
Yes. Merry Christmas.
autumn, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and your entire community.
I think that's a good expression. Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
I think we should say that once we feel that cool
Once
air.
we get a-
Although we're feeling the cool air at night now, so
Once
that's
there's
good.
once there's a nip in the air, you can say Merry Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas
to you and all in your community.
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 So
Anyway,
we
back
are
to Maria
definitely
from
having fun
Oakland.
today. I hope
Oh,
you're
but-
all having fun with us.
So just like Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, Maria, if you go on a hike and you're not prepared, you may not be able to always rely on the kindness of strangers.
No, you will not be able to. I remember Halloween. I once wore a Scarlett O'Hara type costume, and that's all I said all night.
All night. Tomorrow's
Of
another
course,
day.
I made reference to rat, but back
Rat.
to hiking. Absolutely, water, food,
Water.
types of food, nuts and seeds. If you
Yeah.
need to have protein bars, take those. Sometimes people will take like mozzarella sticks or beef jerky. Take things with you that's light and portable and not perishable. So these are simple things.
And one suggestion I would make, Maria, if you're in the desert and going hiking, you can actually cut cactus and take liquid out of that, depending on how desperate you are. So, but take a knife. Take a knife just in case.
I mean, I had that experience one time, and I nearly passed out. On the top of the hill, and I went with an experienced hiker. So I don't want you to have to experience that because it could be nearly fatal. So really, really be careful out there and take something. Absolutely water. Take water for sure.
Even when my parents were traveling to Europe on standby, they always took a lot of food with them just in case they were stranded someplace or they didn't get fed for the longest time when they were in the air.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have that. I mean, sometimes we forget. We're so busy and we just forget. And, I mean, even in your car, I would have something, definitely water. And in the summer months, what I often suggest is you have a cooler with ice. Try to replenish that when you go out. Have a cooler with ice. Have it filled with a few snacks and some water, some cold water.
So hopefully, Maria, that's going to help you. We're going to move on now to Las Vegas, where we have Antonia from Las Vegas. She says, I work evenings in the restaurant business. I work hard, but then I tend to eat my dinners around 10 p.m. I used to be able to get away with it, but now at the age of 42, I'm starting to pack on the pounds. Do you have any suggestions? Boy, shift work is really tough. I've seen this with people who are in ERs and other places who are working nights in hospitals.
Is that shift work though? Is that shift?
Well, no,
work?
she's kind of like is almost like a night shift, maybe because
an evening shift probably.
Yeah, but she doesn't eat till 10.
Well, the restaurant might close at 9. I mean, I used to be in the restaurant business, so I know close at 9 or 10. That's kind of the normal time for restaurants to close. And oftentimes when you're busy, you don't have, well, what I would suggest though, is eat before your shift. And
or also the other possibility, which is maybe not as good as what Monika suggested, which is to wait longer before you have your breakfast.
Or, well,
not optimal, but I mean, I'm just saying if you're eating that late.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, definitely shift your eating. Because what you're talking about was more the intermittent fasting window, I think, Christopher. So that's an option. Eat if you're going to eat late. Eat later in the next day. But you're still working with this sleep-wake cycle. It's not a natural cycle for you to be eating at that time. Our bodies aren't really designed for that. So I would definitely see if you can eat earlier. before your shift, in the middle of your shift, because you're probably, I mean, sometimes you might not have a half-hour break or whatever, but try to do that and not wait until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an 8-hour shift, Antonia, and you're starting at 2 and finishing at 10, or you're starting at 1 and finishing at 9, that's going to be a little rough. But there should be at least a lull sometime from the lunch crowd and dinner crowd.
Yeah, so you should be having at least a half an hour to an hour lunch break or dinner break, and then 2 15 minutes. I think those are the rules and regulations now. 2 15-minute.
Oh, wait a
breaks.
minute. What if she owns the restaurant? I work
Well,
evenings
then
in
you
a
have more
restaurant
leeway,
business.
actually. And what I know is managers and owners, they can eat whenever they want, really, unless, of course, they're needing to chip in and do some of the physical work. But, they have a little more leeway than actually workers. So if you own the wet restaurant, you same rules apply. And if you do own the restaurant and you have employees that are struggling with these kinds of things, bring that into your some of your policy making, where they have to provide something that's a little more equitable and healthy for them, if possible.
So we have a Facebook user who says it's an important topic. Hey, so for those of you who want to have your identity revealed to us, you do need to give StreamYard permission to show us your pretty face. So that's just something I wanted to mention there. Sometimes people aren't familiar with StreamYard, but you have to. They're pretty good, because you have to actually grant them permission. They won't reveal your identity to
So
them.
what is StreamYard, Christopher, for those of us?
StreamYard is the broadcast software that we're using right now, which enables us to stream live to as many as 8 different locations. And at the top of each one of these broadcasts, I have the instructions there to grant StreamYard permission to show your name and your face.
So it's like a password. It's like you're knocking on the door, and Christopher hears that knock or that ringing, and he lets you in.
Sort of. I mean, you can still comment as Facebook user, but then you have to identify yourself to a. It's a lot easier. Plus, you get your name in lights. Who wouldn't love that? Who wouldn't love that? Anyway, so hopefully that helps you, Antonia. I know it's challenging every time you have something like that to do. If you're in the restaurant business, things are irregular shifts. I really feel sorry for the people who are on 12-hour shifts that start like at. One of our neighbors is a nurse, and she starts at 7 p.m. and finishes at 7 a.m. But she only does that 3 days a week. But still, it just throws your schedule off like crazy.
I meet nurses who do that shift and other workers who do that shift all the time, and your body does get accustomed to it. So,
hey, so now we have. This is interesting to me. So our next questioner, Everett, is from Snoqualmie. And I remember
there. That's a lovely place.
Yeah, but Everett, do you know Evelyn? Because Evelyn started a food delivery service. She sent us a question on July 16th. And I'm just find it interesting that both of your names begin with E, and you're both from Snoqualmie, which only has like 13,000 people there. So you've got to know.
2 Snoqualmies.
Everett, you and Evelyn. I mean, what if you're married? I don't know.
And Everett, Washington is near Snoqualmie, or it's
there you go. So we have Everett from Snoqualmie, near Everett, Washington, and Evelyn, who is also from Snoqualmie. I would think that the two of you who have E's, you should form like the little Snoqualmie E Club. Anyway, so Everett says, "I'm pretty healthy." It's a strange coincidence. It's a
community.
Community. They're all part of the community in Snoqualmie. That's a mouthful.
It is.
So Everett says here, he says, I'm pretty healthy for the most part. I exercise regularly. I eat a lot of veggies and fish, not a whole lot of red meat. But lately, I've been pretty fatigued and not sure why. Could it be my diet? I appear to sleep enough. Should I see my doctor?
Probably. That would be a good idea, to see your doctor, get some blood work done and see what's going on. Specifically get thyroid function, not just like the whole panel. Ask them for request the whole panel. Oftentimes they won't do that, but I would ask him for it. I mean, explain the fatigue, explain when you feel fatigued, and if anything's changed in your life recently. Some of these things that you explained haven't changed, or I'm assuming they haven't changed, but yeah, it could be all sorts of things. Fatigue could be all sorts of things. Are you anemic?
There's a whole host of things. I mean, you say that you sleep enough too, but I don't even know if it's a restful sleep or not. So you might even want to try a little app to monitor your sleep to see if it's solid or if you're waking up a lot.
And what does enough sleep mean as well? I mean, does that mean 5 hours to you? Because there's this misconception that, I can, have this kind of condensed sleep and function that way. But most people know that 7-8 hours is probably a kind of a general
I would say
average.
7 to 8 hours, 8 hours, 7.5 on average, maybe it depends. Yeah. But the other thing is too, I mean, fatigue can be, in terms of differential diagnosis, fatigue can mean all kinds of things. I mean, even people with leukemia start experiencing fatigue, even though they may have been eating really healthy and that sort of thing. So definitely go see a doctor.
It could be blood sugar, low blood sugar. It could be
could be a whole host of things.
Low blood sugar, low blood pressure. It could be all sorts of things. So you want to get it evaluated. You want to talk to your doctor.
If you're feeling low and you want to get high, don't try Community, but definitely see your healthcare provider if it's a doctor, a nurse practitioner, or someone, to get that whole blood panel that Monika was recommending.
Yeah, and then once you get that information, then you can start taking steps. Lifestyle changes and supplements and food and all sorts of things.
Whatever it turns out to be. So we're going to move on to Tennessee. Nikki from Nashville. I wonder if she's a country music star under a different identity.
Or lover, country music lover.
Lover. So Nikki asks this. She says, I have a lot of food allergies. Some of them include wheat, dairy, and soy. It's been really hard staying away from these foods. And sometimes I'd rather live with the discomfort than not to eat these things. Am I crazy to think this way?
Well, first of all, I would ask you, is it a full-blown allergy? Have you done some allergy testing? Have you done some of the more functional digestive testing? Or is it more of a food intolerance or a food sensitivity? So if you're having symptoms after you eat certain foods, then you might want to remove them from your diet for a while. And so that's the big question. What are your symptoms?
It's a very good question too. Now, if we're assuming that you've already had these tests, and you know that you have a food sensitivity to wheat, dairy, and soy, then the best thing, of course, is to avoid those. But I think often the things that we're most sensitive to or have the so-called food allergies to are the ones we often crave the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a sort of a psychological, physiological, neurological type of phenomenon.
Yeah, and so there was wheat. It was wheat, soy,
wheat, dairy, and soy.
Oh, yeah, the biggies. Yeah, a lot of people have sensitivities to those particular foods, for example, because they have them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've said this so many times on many of these broadcasts, is to remove these foods. And I don't know if you said you did that.
She did not mention. Well, she said she's having a hard time staying away from them. So I guess she has tried to eliminate.
Yeah. Them. So try one at a time. Not all of them, because that's a lot. So try one of those food categories or food items, at a time, and then see if how you feel. And then reintroduce that particular food item again, whether it's wheat or bread, any of the wheat kinds of products, and then see how you feel. But I would definitely try and stay off one of those things for 3 to 4 weeks.
And I would say, if you started with dairy and you substituted soy milk for cow's milk, that's not going to necessarily be so great because your soy consumption is going to increase. But in terms of wheat, go bread free for a while, because there are often dairy products and some soy additives in a lot of wheats. I think the more natural you get in your consumption, the better. A sprouted wheat bread might be your first baby step and still stay with the dairy and soy. And if you find you feel better after switching to sprouted wheat, maybe you've found your culprit.
Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of foods that have these foods in them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just bread. It's like, even your tamari sauce is going to have some wheat in it. I think it's tamari, but definitely soy has wheat.
Soy,
yeah. So the cleaner, the more real and foods that come from Mother Nature, it's the best. That should be most of your diet is really that. So then you don't have to worry, well, is there wheat in this? Is there soy in this? Because it's just the food. There's no additives or other things in the particular item. So most bagged and boxed foods will have those things. So it can confuse your whole system and you'll be confused. So I would definitely, but start slow. Take anything that has wheat in it out of your diet for like 3 or 4 weeks. Reintroduce it, or if you want to choose soy or dairy. And of course, if you want a dairy replacement, there's almond milk, there's coconut milk, there's all sorts of oat milks. There's so oat. You didn't say gluten, so oat would be a safe bet too. So hopefully that helps.
That is true. I was just checking Twitter. We are broadcasting on Twitter very nicely right now. I'm going to screenshot that.
Twitter fans. Yeah. Are they Twitter fans, or what do we call Twitter people?
Tweeps.
Tweeps.
It's like peeps, but with the Twitter in front of.
Yeah, there's never been Facebook friends and Instagram followers and all that. TikTokers.
Hey, so let me see. What else was that? I think that was about it for today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Great questions, everyone.
Nikki from Nashville rounded us up here. We got through all your questions today. I would suggest that if you have any additional topics that you would like to have us discuss, please drop that in below this video. Also, keep those questions coming, because hopefully we'll have answers for you. And if we don't have the answers, we know whom to contact, because we have a big Rolodex. We're that old that we have Rolodexes. And there's opportunity calling.
And I usually unplug my phones for this broadcast, but alas, did not happen today.
If it turns out to be the Franchise Tax Board, let them know that I'm still on hold for the last 3 hours.
Really? Still? Wow.
Yeah. I'm just hopeful. I think they forgot about me. So.
Well, it is Friday. It's happy hour.
It says that they're in until 5 p.m. So I'm actually grateful I actually got through, but still 3 hours is a long time to be on hold. So.
But I understand, like towards the end of the day, often government departments. Well, you should know. You came from the government Mecca part of the world, the Mecca of government.
I came from our nation's capital, Washington D.C., where I practiced for close to 30 years.
Yes, there you go. So my experience is early in the morning, or towards the end of the day.
I tried early in the morning, it didn't work, and I've tried several times this week later in the day, like at 4:30.
I have no answer. I have no answer.
But what if
I have answers to other questions, but not.
What if it causes me to develop an eating disorder because I'm trying to?
Well, then we can talk.
Then we can talk from the stress. Hey, so for those of you who would like less distress and perhaps a little bit of eustress, we would like you to come back to us here next week to the Total Health Live program at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Please keep those questions coming. And if you, as I said before, if you want any topics to be discussed, we're more than happy to do that, rather than just talking about they are actually about to answer me. So come on back later.
Good luck.
Great.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Now. Hang on.
Happy health.
Bye.
To you. Bye.
We ended that.